Thus concludes my deep dive into Tatsunoko vs. Capcom. Alright, today I am going to be continuing my series of retrospectives on the upcoming Street Fighter 6 DLC characters. So the idea here is to give you guys an overview of legacy Street Fighter characters if you're not already familiar with them, and maybe some ideas about how their previous incarnations could shape the future Street Fighter 6 version. So I've already covered C. Viper, and Sagat is already out, so up next it's time for us to revisit Alex. Now, Alex is a more complicated beast to talk about than Viper, because he's been playable in a bunch of different games, even mainline Street Fighter games. So we're going to be starting by taking a trip all the way back to 1997. Also, please remember to hit that subscribe button, and let's rumble. You get it? Rumble? Because it's an Alex video. I said the thing. So right now, I think Alex is a fairly popular character. His archetype is kind of semi-grappler, semi-brawler, but Alex's Street Fighter career got off to a rocky start. So right now, I am playing Street Fighter 3 Third Strike, but Alex was originally introduced in the first iteration of Street Fighter 3, which was called New Generation. Now, I won't go into too much detail since other videos have already covered it, but New Generation was a very divisive game. The gameplay was janky, the balance was awful, and the roster was heavily criticized. So, New Generation had 11 playable characters, which was actually 10 characters because at that time Yang and Yun were just palette swaps. And most importantly, only 2 characters were returning characters from Street Fighter 2. They added Ryu and Ken. And originally, the devs didn't even want Ryu and Ken to be in the game. But even with Ryu and Ken in New Generation, people really hated the lack of returning characters, okay? The reason that I bring this up is because Alex is actually the main character of Street Fighter 3. So what Ryu was to Street Fighter 2, Alex was supposed to be for Street Fighter 3. And his face was the one that was primarily on the marketing materials at the time. So for example, this was the New Generation poster. Alex is the guy on the cover. And that meant, at the time, unfortunately, Alex was kind of negatively associated with the failings of New Generation. Like, he kind of caught astray as the face of a relatively unpopular game. But anyway, that was New Generation. Over time, Street Fighter 3 got updates with Second Impact, and then the much-beloved Third Strike. And that's where I'm going to start talking about the gameplay. So anyway, like I said, Alex is a grappler, or grappler-ish, grappler-brawler, depending on who you ask. So as well as being a grappler, Alex is also one of the first Street Fighter characters ever to have a hybrid of charge and motion inputs. So for example, things like his command grab is a half circle input, but things like elbow, this move, and his stomp, this move, these are actually charge moves. He's generally considered to be low tier in this game, but he does have some pretty explosive damage if he finds an opening. Like, I think EX Elbow is really good in this game. He can do a lot of stun output as well. Like, one of Alex's things is that a lot of his kit is focused on stun. He can stun you very quickly in this game. Alright, so when I'm talking specifically about Third Strike Alex, I think one of the things I have to talk about is one of this game's weirdest system mechanics, and that is back turn. Now, if you've played Alex in Street Fighter 5, you probably don't even know what back turn even means. It's a unique mechanic for Third Strike, so no subsequent Street Fighter game ever brought this back, but in Third Strike and the Street Fighter 3 various versions, some moves in this game will cause your opponent to turn around and face the wrong way. It's not exclusive to Alex. A couple of other characters also have back turning moves, but Alex is the only character who is like explicitly designed around the back turn mechanics. So if you land Alex's medium or heavy flash chop, like this, you can see that not only does Ryu get put into hit stun, it's not just hit stun, he also gets turned around and faces the wrong way for about half a second. And this isn't just ordinary hit stun. So once the opponent is in this state, it becomes possible to combo into things that you can't normally combo into, mainly command grabs. So for example, if I do like, let's say a normal into a command grab, the command grab just whiffs, because you can't combo into command grabs. But if I do a heavy flash chop into Alex's command grab during the back turn state, he does the follow-up, and that does a ton of stun. Now you may have noticed, as well as him being able to combo into his command grab, this is actually a different command grab. So if I do half circle back punch, it does the power bomb. But if I do half circle back punch during the back turn state, it does backdrop instead. So not only can you combo into command grabs while in the back turn state, it actually also applies a weird modifier which changes the outcome of a bunch of Alex's moves. So as a couple more examples, so if you press back heavy punch, Alex will do the headbutt, this thing. But if your opponent is in back turn state and you do this, it changes into a sleeper hold, which does a ton of stun. And the last one that's worth mentioning is his super. This is Alex's command grab super, the hyper bomb. So he does two backdrops and then a big power bomb at the end. But if your opponent is in back turn state, there we go. So yeah, as you can see, the animation changes. Rather than doing the power bomb as the ender, he does even more backdrops. And I think it gets changed to a move called reverse hyper bomb, which is a very cool name. Now, the thing about back turn is that I think Capcom realized that it's probably way too much effort to program an entirely unique hit stun state into the system purely for like 3 characters to actually benefit from it. And it also has some janky side effects in this game. So I don't think back turn will ever return in future. I just thought it's worth covering because it's unique to this version of Alex. That being said though, one thing I really do like about back turn is how it kind of visually flows Alex's moves together. So like when you turn them around, it sets them up perfectly for the animation on the backdrop, because they're already facing the wrong way. It's kind of like almost like a Tekken string, you know, it sets the opponent into the right position for the move to make sense. The animations are really cool. Anyway, that's basically all I want to cover for Third Strike Alex, because the majority of this video is actually going to be focusing on his more recent incarnation, and the one that is most likely to represent Street Fighter 6 Alex in the near future. We're going to be moving over to Street Fighter 5. Alright, so I talked about how Street Fighter 3 Alex was kind of unfairly associated with the failings of New Generation at the time. He's developed an appreciation more since then, but he did kind of catch a stray as being the face of New Generation. And it's kind of funny how Street Fighter 5 Alex also kind of ended up being associated with a lot of the failings of launch Street Fighter 5. So, if you guys don't know, Alex was the very first DLC character of Street Fighter 5 way back in 2016, and his release was kind of a meme. So I've said this before, but Street Fighter 5 was an absolute disaster at launch. Without going into too much detail, the game had almost no single player content. The 3D models were terrible. You know, we had Ken's face and banana hair, as you can see on the screen right now. 8 frames of input delay, bad netcode, and the gameplay was basically just like flailing crush counters. Back then, in early 2016, the community was demanding fixes and improvements, and demanding the Alex trailer became a kind of running joke. People still make that joke today. When are they going to release the Alex trailer? It's kind of a meme. And it's actually kind of weird to think about in retrospect, because Alex actually released in late March of 2016. So Alex actually only came out like 6 weeks after the game released, which seems strange now considering we get 4 DLC characters a year. But back then, because Street Fighter 5 was a flaming garbage pile on release, it felt like an excruciatingly long time waiting for Alex to come out. Rank 48, despite not playing for 2.5 years, damn, he's good. So just in terms of visual design, Alex embodied a lot of the problems people had with launch Street Fighter 5. So just like with Ken, people clowned on this guy's hair. It had that lumpy clay look to it. This still gets thrown around a lot. He has the McDonald's fries for hair in this game. Also his idle stance. This is another thing that to this day I don't know how this got through. I guess they tried to recreate his Street Fighter 3 stance in this game, but it looks like his legs are broken or like facing the complete wrong way. Like his upper body is facing towards Ken and his legs are trying to run the opposite direction. It's a very weird pose he has in this game. So yeah, visually Alex didn't go down very well at the time. He represented a lot of the issues launch Street Fighter V had as the first DLC character. But let's talk about gameplay. There you go, that's the gameplay. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Much like his Third Strike counterpart, Street Fighter V Alex wasn't very good. On launch, at least. He improved a lot later on. So the problem was, when it came to grapplers, Alex was up against Season 1 Armika, who was arguably the best character in the entire game. And the thing is, Alex just couldn't hold a candle to Season 1 Mika. He did have some good stuff. His crouch medium punch in Season 1 was insanely spammable. So back in 2016, this was Alex's game plan. Just sit in neutral and spam this thing. But he was let down by, he had bad Oki. He did have jab anti-air in Season 1. He was one of the jab anti-air characters, but like his actual dedicated anti-air buttons like crouch fierce and his DP were pretty unreliable. His hit confirms were awkward. He didn't have many good cancelable normals. Like most of his longest range normals in neutral are not cancelable in this game. He did have some cool stuff though. V-Skill 1. This thing. All warmed up. So what this does, his V-Skill in this game, is this causes Alex's next hit to be a forced counter hit no matter what. So even if your opponent is not actually getting counter hit, it will still do it anyway. I think they call it a hard hit in this game. Yeah. Technically it's called a hard hit, but functionally it's basically just a forced counter hit. So he can like give himself crush counters in this game at will. And this made his stun combos really cool because you could get like a stun, charge the V skill, and then still get a crush counter afterwards. So yeah, he did have some cool stuff. Another cool thing that's worth mentioning is the Yami drop. This is an interesting story. So there's a thing that Alex had called the Yami drop. What it is similar to Third Strike. When Alex does his heavy flash chop, he can do a backdrop afterwards. This is his version of back turn state in this game. Like that. It does good damage in combos, but it side switches. Now, there was some really cool tech Alex had, which is that if you cancel heavy flash chop into backdrop on block, it whiffs. Because Capcom did not want this character to have like a tick throw set up off blocked flash chop, or otherwise you'd just be doing this all day. So the command grab whiffs here. But people discovered in Season 1 that there was a 1-frame window where if you delay cancel into command grab, it's just barely possible to make it come out on block. So let me just see if I can get the timing for that. There we go. And this is called the Yami drop. It's like a high-level bit of Alex tech. And if you fuck it up, that happens, and you're stuck in command grab recovery. The Yami drop had a weird history in this game, which is that it was actually a bug. So Capcom did not intend you to be able to do this delayed tick throw. Like that. And so what they did is Capcom actually patched this out of the game. They removed this from Alex's kit, but thankfully Capcom did eventually realize that actually this is kind of cool, unique character tech, and it's actually really hard to do consistently. Like, even the pro players struggle to reliably hit the timing for this, because it's basically like a manually timed link. And if you fuck it up, then you're stuck in command grab recovery point blank for like 2 seconds. Capcom did eventually cave, and they re-added this into the game as like intentional tech. But it's a good example of like the classic Street Fighter thing of like, what is originally a glitch eventually turning into like intentional design philosophy. Going all the way back to Street Fighter 2, the whole concept of like special cancelling and combos was basically a glitch. They didn't mean for that stuff to happen, but it ended up defining the entire genre. So this is kind of like that. Mistakes into miracles. So by the end of Season 1, Alex had not made a splash in this game, and he was considered one of the weakest characters in the game, and he was basically just a crouch medium punch dispenser. So Alex players were hotly anticipating buffs in the Season 2 update, and to reward them for their patience, Alex got nerfed in Season 2. Kind of, sort of. He got a handful of like okay buffs in Season 2, but Capcom also heavily nerfed crouching medium punch, which, like I said, this was his best button. It went from 7 frames startup to 8 frames. It gained 2 more frames of whiff recovery. It lost an active frame. And the buffs that he got in return didn't really change much. There were a few minor tweaks to his combos and stuff like that. The one thing that did get buffed is his lariat. This move right here. This is forward heavy punch. This is lariat. So they let this now link into stand medium punch. And this was the start of another Alex meme. So from Season 2 onwards, there was a running joke in this game that every single balance patch, Alex would get small incremental buffs to nothing relevant except for lariat. This thing. So just to make clear how good this button is, on hit, he gets full combos out of this thing. And on block, as of the final version of this game, this was +4 on block. Also, this thing's a crush counter, so if he catches you pressing, it links into itself. Like, if you got in your opponent's face, you could just do this. And it was terrifying. You'd also assume, based on the animation, that this thing probably whiffs on crouches, and you would be wrong. So this was one of the best pressure normals in the game, up close. But unfortunately, like I said, Alex just didn't really have that much going for him. He was also very awkward to use, and a lot of his hit confirms were very finicky. Stuff would like drop at range a lot of the time. I feel like what it was that Capcom really had no idea what to do with Alex. And they just kept saying, you know, fuck it. More lariat buffs. So, in Season 2, this thing went from being +5 to +6. And then in Season 3, it went from being +6 to +7. And it also gained an active frame. So it was easier to use as a meaty. Then in Season 3.5, they also made it special cancelable. Like that, which, by the way, this was a massive improvement to his combos. It's easy to forget this thing wasn't always special cancelable, but it let him combo into heavy chop without any requirements. It also gave him some really high damage combos that relied on good execution. So let me see if I can still do this. Oh yeah, also Alex's crouching animation. I forgot to mention this as well. Can we talk about how like his head retreats into his body like a turtle? That's very weird looking. There we go. That was the combo. As I mentioned earlier, Alex has charge specials, and this move is forward plus heavy punch. And if you do like some quite complicated charge techniques, you can actually combo forward heavy punch into heavy elbow. Like that, which is actually required for some of his high damage combos. So that was a big upgrade to his max damage, but it also made him like fairly high execution by this game's standards. Also, there's the super. Plant you like a tree. Do heavy punch, dive kick normal? Oh yeah. The dive punch. One of the weirdest normals in the game. This also exists in Third Strike, and it's not completely useless. It does alter his jump trajectory a little bit, so this can be used to like fake out certain anti-airs. The thing about Alex's dive, and the thing that I think every single dive kick in all of Street Fighter should have, is this move on block, as opposed to most dive kicks, which are like -4 or -5 if misspaced. Alex's dive is -27 on block, and not cancelable into anything. I used to love it when Alex players would do this, by the way. Let me just... I'm going to switch to Oro for like 2 seconds because I just want to show you this. Every time I boot up Street Fighter 5 is an excuse to sneak Oro in there. Capcom, bring him back. Season 4 DLC. Oro, let's go. Anyway, anytime I blocked an Alex player trying to use this dive, there we go. First time. Trust me. So yeah, as an Oro player, I loved it when Alex players would use the dive punch because I could do 75% punishes on it. But anyway, that's just the necessary Oro sidetrack every time I boot up Street Fighter 5. Alex outfit change? Alright, I'll save you guys the stress of having to look at his French fry hair. Eventually they gave him the much superior nostalgia costume, which actually fixed his hair. Like, look at this. The difference is night and day. It honestly feels like Capcom was like, okay, we fucked up. This is what he should have looked like. It almost looks like a mod. This looks like someone modded Alex to, like, fix him. You've got the good Alex on the left and French fry Alex on the right. So just to cover his unique V system real quick, I talked about how his V skill 1 lets him, like, get a forced counter hit on the next hit. His V skill 2 makes it so that he can cancel the next special move into another special move. So, for example, like, you could do stuff like this. And this is really good because his EX Stomp was plus on block. So once you had V skill 2 charged, you could literally just yeet in from full screen. And then give yourself plus frames. And in terms of his V triggers, V trigger 1, it's a weird thing where, like, you hold the buttons and he'll do like a charged sledgehammer thing. And if you hit him while he's in this stance, he will actually parry incoming hits. He has like a weird parry in this game. So for example, you could do stuff like that. And this doesn't really require any timing in this game. You basically just mash heavy punch and heavy kick and you just parry everything. This was a combo tool as well. And you could also cancel it into backdrop, same as his flash chop. And the other thing to say about this is that it didn't happen very much because it was basically just a knowledge check. But if you full charge this thing, it actually becomes a guard break, like an unblockable. So that's technically an unblockable, but like no one is going to get hit by this who hasn't been playing for a while. Especially once they added V-Shift to the game. He did have a couple of things where you could do like sweep activate and then do this as like a meaty unblockable, but it was not very good. You do stuff like that, but most of the time you're not going to hit a full charge counter hit sledgehammer. So V-Trigger 2 gives Alex his famous spiral DDT. Now, I didn't mention this move. This is a command grab that also exists in Third Strike, the DDT. And the reason that I didn't mention it in Third Strike is because in that game, it's one of the worst moves in the entire game. It's a sort of diving command grab, but it has like no range and a horrible hitbox in that game. Thankfully, in this game, DDT is actually worth using because, first of all, it grabs you from like 2/3 screen and gives you really good Oki afterwards. But the other thing is, this can be comboed into in this game, so you can do stuff like this. And then this gives Alex amazing Oki. You can't back roll this. It's like a hard knockdown, or this game's version of a hard knockdown. So anytime Alex lands a hit with level 2 active, he gets like the best Oki possible with DDT. There's also a second thing, the sleeper hold, which is this. Yeah. So if you press down, you get the sleeper hold instead of the DDT. And the difference here is the DDT whiffs on crouches. So you have to be a little bit careful when you're using it in combos. But the sleeper hold works on crouches. It does less damage. But it also leaves you slightly closer, I think. But generally the DDT is the best thing. The other thing that's worth mentioning is I think Lariat forces stand on hit. Yes. So even if your opponent is crouching, as long as you start the combo with his best pressure normal, you can always end with a DDT into Oki. So this was a good V-trigger. It didn't start out very good, but it ended up being probably the superior V-trigger by the end. So speaking of like Alex's evolution over the course of this game, the buffs did actually start to compound after a while. Like, Here's the thing that a lot of people don't know about Street Fighter V Alex, is that this character was actually good by the end of this game. I feel like a lot of people stopped paying attention to Street Fighter V in the last year or two. A lot of people started like looking forward to Street Fighter 6 and dropped this game. But in the final version of Street Fighter V, I think Alex was a good character. Not like top tier, but I think he was definitely in the top half of the roster by the end. But he needed character specialists to take advantage of it. Oh yeah, and before I move on real quick, just one last thing. Speaking of the buffs that he got over the seasons, I mentioned earlier how his anti-airs were kind of finicky and unreliable. They completely eliminated that weakness from this character towards the end. One of the reasons why he became a decent character in like season 5 of this game is because Capcom finally caved after years of pressure and made his DP, this thing, an actual DP in terms of anti-airs. So for the longest time, the knee drop was not actually air invincible. This thing could lose or trade with jump-ins. But in the last couple of balance patches of this game, they made it so the EX knee was finally frame 1 air invincible. And it actually has a really good hitbox. Like, you can anti-air people from miles away with this thing. So this went from being like one of the most awkward anti-airs in the game to like one of the most consistent by the end. They also made his crouch fierce a lot more reliable. I think you can get 2 of them sometimes. Yeah. Stuff like this, his anti-air juggle combos got a lot more consistent, a lot more reliable. And they also, for some reason, as well as all of his other anti-airs being buffed, they also made Stand Fierce an anti-air in one of the final balance patches. So he went from having like below average anti-airs to having some of the best by the end. You can also do that. So not only was he better by the end, but they did also make him more satisfying to play. I think they did a good job of buffing him. But like I said, it was kind of too little too late, because most people had stopped paying attention to this game by the time Alex was decent. But I was still paying attention. I was still playing Street Fighter V, and I was still grinding with the UK's best, and that included my Street Fighter League teammate, a man who goes by the name of Problem X. So let me just show you a quick replay analysis of what high-level Alex gameplay looked like at the end of Street Fighter V's life.
For Phenom and Problem pressed the wrong button at the wrong time. It is 1 round apiece here in Battle 3.
Slowly but surely, he's adjusting his spacing, gets the punish on the sweep, and ends the combo with the rising rocket.
He had the X there, didn't use it. Yeah. That jab off the tech was extremely effective. Oh, nice.
Oh yeah, this is one thing worth mentioning. I think this was a season 2.5 change, if I remember rightly. They made EX Stomp one of the only moves in the entire game that was frame 1 projectile invincible. So even if you reacted really late to the fireball, like the fireball is practically already inside his stomach and he's still able to EX Stomp this. This is a really good move in this game, the EX Stomp. Plus on block, frame 1 projectile invincible move.
Extremely effective. Oh, nice.
Good Oki as well. Double dash Oki.
And ends there, goes back to the neutral, and it's Phenom with the life lead. Not that big though. Okay.
Also elbow. Man, there's so many things about this character that I've forgotten about that I'm just remembering now. Yeah, light elbow. This was originally punishable on block. He originally on release had no version of elbow that was safe. So it was very difficult for him to like threaten you with chip damage. But eventually they decided to make light elbow safe on block. So this is kind of like his version of Balrog's dash straight. Yeah, that wasn't always safe.
Oh, that reaches too far to connect. Doesn't get the whiff punish though.
Oh, the sleeper hold whiffs.
Yeah, that's why I think he was right. It would have missed on the slash earlier as well. Nice angle on that jumping, but brave tech from Problem trying to bait that neutral jump again. It doesn't come.
All right, he might have to just go.
V-trigger 2 active.
Nice,
and V-skill 2 as well. He's all warmed up.
Plaster de plaster.
Take that. He's not anti-airing their Problem.
Good block in the crouch medium.
Hard kick. I don't know if he can cancel that, but
oh yes, him.
Oh my god.
Gonna be the supers there.
Oh, and then the EXDP. So like this is what I was talking about a minute ago. This is a fusion of both V-skill 2 and V-trigger 2, stuff that Alex could do by the end of this game's life. So he does a flash chop in neutral, which is safe at that distance. Uses the stored V-skill 2 to cancel it into light elbow, and then cancels that into the DDT because he's got V-Trigger 2 active.
Guess him.
DDT, what's it gonna be? The super's there as well.
Very cool character.
Phenom bet the farm.
Let's see, if Problem gets one medium, it could be CA.
Nice.
No,
Oh,
that's a
punish.
punish.
No. Oh my goodness, mistake. I mean, such a unique, unusual situation.
A little bit scrappy at the end there.
I'm not sure he had enough.
Look, man, this is why I'm a commentator. I can't deal with this stress. No way, we punish again.
That was such a good whiff punish.
Powerbomb. He might commentate. I can't
Yeah.
deal with this stress.
This was, like I mentioned this earlier, but this was one of his
Scrub for 10 seconds.
later
Look, man,
changes.
this is why I'm a commentator. I can't deal with this stress.
Stand heavy punch, comboing into heavy elbow, was one of the last buffs Alex ever got towards the end of the game, and it was such a huge improvement. It made his whiff punishing game terrifying.
Hey, we punish again. Powerbomb. He might start reintroducing the power bombs for this round.
Yeah, first one in the
Again, you see, Problem was so good at this.
He might start reintroducing
He
the
made
power
that
bombs
stand
for
heavy
this
punch look
round.
like the best button in the game. He was just whiff punishing people into heavy elbow all the time. And look how much corner carry this does.
First one in a while. Big whiff punish. That's going to be stunned. Yes, it is. He's going to build the CA in time.
I don't think it's gonna kill.
I think that's
Oh
going
my
to kill.
god.
Oh, no, didn't get it.
That
Didn't
combo.
get it.
That whole combo.
Get it.
That entire sequence was meterless, by the way.
It is.
Power bombs for this round.
Yeah, first one in a
Not
while.
a
Big
single bar of EX at any point.
whiff punish. That's going to be stunned. Yes, it is. He's going to build the CA in time.
I don't think it's gonna kill.
I think that's going to kill. Oh, no, didn't get it. Didn't get
He
it. Would have killed,
literally
but he
didn't
didn't get
have
it.
a
Just
speck of
didn't
meter
get it.
He might have been able to kill if he built super. Oh,
man,
nice
just
drop.
confirmed there from Phenom. The one time
Broski
I ever see
arm
him with
jump
the
scare?
Stand up for a split second and crash.
That is... that is my arm. There you go. I was here all along. That is my arm right there. I got the front row tickets to this performance. That's why I brought it up, because I remember being there.
At one point, he's weighing it out here. He needs to keep Phenom standing. Phenom might be looking for a crouching attack so he doesn't get hit by DDT by accident. Tick throw.
Like a bomb. It's...
Yeah.
It's so weird looking at command grabs in this game. Like, the command grab wasn't bad. It's just that, like, command grab damage is so much higher in Street Fighter 6. Like, you see the EX command grab in this game, and I was expecting him to lose, like, 40% of his health by Street Fighter 6 standards.
Tick throw.
And then just does that. That's like a punish counter throw in this game. Command grabs did really low damage in Street Fighter 5.
Game
You
point
bring
for
me back
Phenom.
watching this
Match
video.
point for Problem. Tie break point for Phenom.
Street Fighter 5
So
final
wide
season
that
was
one three-way game.
such a good game.
This could be so tempting to just go completely ballistic this round. All guns blazing, no respect to the defense. But these guys, how they exhibit neutral is some of the best in the game. That's going to be a
Big
punish.
whiff.
And he didn't get the level 2 flash
Get it.
knuckle.
We've seen him drop that a few times. Tried to chase the Vici with a delay towards Fierce, didn't work. Slight life lead for Problem.
Problem hasn't really jumped with Alex though.
No,
which is
not really. I
interesting.
mean, you got. What, I mean, have you tried jumping at Phenom?
Well, you game once it was.
I miss how much downtime there was in these games. Like, the one thing that makes me nostalgic more than anything when I watch Street Fighter 5 is how neutral just had, like, downtime. There was periods of time where neutral would just be like sort of a few pokes, a little bit of footsies, but just you didn't feel like you were constantly on high alert for like a drive rush or something.
Trade.
Tries that roundhouse.
Almost got it.
Problem with the delayed back. That's on wake up. And look, he's brought this round all the way back just with Sandblast. Oh, but he whiffs the stand.
With punish.
He's got no EX meter.
Time to guess.
This is big
Guess
F
again.
words.
V-shift. Oh, he tries to
Anti-LFT,
jump in.
that's
Dead.
it. Clean.
Oh my goodness, he's done it. A 40-0. Executed over 0-0 Nation and Team Mouse.
There he is. There I am. Broski jump scare. Anyway, so hopefully that video demonstrates to you how good Alex was by the end of the game. Like, there's so many things there that he didn't have originally. Way better pokes, way better hit confirms, better V triggers, better V skills. Everything about him was better. His anti-airs were 100 times better by the end of the game. So hopefully, looking forward to Street Fighter 6, I hope that, like, final season Street Fighter 5 is kind of the baseline that they use when they're designing Street Fighter 6 Alex, because that was probably the best he's ever been in any version of Street Fighter. I think for me, one of the big question marks, though, is stun. So, Alex's gimmick, or one of Alex's gimmicks in every game he's appeared in, is that Alex has very high stun output. He even literally has the stun gun headbutt. But this game does not have normal stun, so I'm kind of like, are they going to give him some kind of unique stun mechanic to make up for the fact that he's lost his, like, uniquely high stun? Give him a special stun meter? Maybe that's a good suggestion in chat. He might end up being a character that trades stun for high drive gauge damage. Like maybe Lariat returns and this thing just shreds your drive on block. That seems likely to me. But yeah, that's Alex. Hopefully he doesn't suck in Street Fighter 6. Let me know what you guys think of this character. Do you like him? Do you hate him? And I will see you guys all in the next video.